Marsau asked one simple question, but that question changed the entire tone of the conversation. What started as a normal talk about relationships suddenly became serious, deeper, and more uncomfortable. You could feel that something bigger was going on beneath the surface. This was not just about advice, this was about real concerns, real tension, and a relationship that might not be as strong as it looks from the outside. Ken seemed calm at first, but as the conversation continued, small details started to stand out. He talked about how things are going with Tresh, and he tried to make it sound like everything was under control, but at the same time, the things he said did not fully match that picture. He mentions that Tresh is focused on her own activities, like training and gym work, and that she does not do those things at their shared home. That may sound normal, but it also shows that they are already living somewhat separate lives. When a relationship is still growing, people usually try to spend more time together, not less. They try to build a connection, create routines, and feel close. But here, it sounds like both of them are already moving in their own directions. That does not always mean something is wrong, but it can be a sign that the foundation is not as strong as it should be. Ken then shared something that really caught attention. He said they have another apartment. That one detail changed everything. Getting a second place is not a small decision, especially in a relationship that is still developing. It raises questions right away. Why is there a need for space? What problem is this solving? Is it helping the relationship or quietly pulling it apart? Marsau noticed this too. He did not jump to attack or judge, but you could see that he was concerned. He made it clear that he was not trying to say, "I told you so," and that matters, because sometimes advice can feel like criticism. But here, he was trying to be careful. He was trying to speak from experience, not from ego. Marsau talked about how relationships work. He explained that love is not easy. It requires effort from both people. One person alone cannot carry everything. Even if one person is doing everything right, it still depends on the other person being just as committed. That idea hit hard because it connects directly to what Ken is going through. Ken, on the other hand, seemed to see things differently. He pointed out that he is not married to Tresh. In his mind, that gives him more freedom. He feels like he can step away, take space, and figure things out without being tied down. From his perspective, this is not a problem. It is a way to protect himself and think clearly. But Marsau saw it another way. To him, creating distance this early does not show strength, it shows uncertainty. It looks like the relationship is already facing issues that are not being solved directly. Instead of talking things out, space is being used as a solution, and that can be risky. There was also a moment where it felt like Marsau was warning Ken without saying it directly. He talked about how sometimes people create distance hoping the other person will chase them. That can turn into a game, and when relationships turn into games, things can become confusing and unhealthy. Ken did not agree with that idea. He made it clear that he is not playing games. He believes he is doing what is best. He thinks that stepping away will help him see things clearly. He wants time to think, to understand his feelings, and to decide what he really wants. But even as he said that, there was still a feeling that something was not fully settled. Because if everything was clear, there would not be a need for so much distance. There would not be a second apartment. There would not be this level of tension in a simple conversation. Another layer of the situation is how outside voices are affecting things. Ken seemed frustrated about information being shared indirectly. He felt like things were being said about him instead of being said to him. That kind of situation can create misunderstanding very quickly. When people hear things from others instead of directly from their partner, trust can start to weaken. Even small issues can feel bigger, and when trust is not strong, every little detail starts to matter more than it should. Marsau also brought up a powerful example involving Destiny and her past. He talked about how she went through a family reunion and how emotional that was. That story was not random. It was meant to show how past experiences can affect present relationships. He used a simple but strong metaphor. He said, broken people are like broken cups. Even if you fix the cup, the cracks are still there. That does not mean the cup is useless, it just means you have to handle it with care. The same goes for people. This idea connects deeply to relationships. When someone has been hurt before, they may act differently. They may protect themselves more. They may create distance faster. They may struggle with trust. And if their partner does not understand that, it can lead to problems. Ken listened, but it is not clear if he fully accepted that point. He seemed focused on his own approach. He believes that space will help. He believes that stepping away is the right move right now. But Marsau kept bringing the focus back to communication. He made it clear that avoiding problems does not solve them. Talking about issues directly may be uncomfortable, but it is often the only way to fix them. The conversation also touched on respect. When someone feels like their relationship is being discussed publicly, it can feel disrespectful. Even if the intention is not bad, the feeling still matters. Respect is a big part of any relationship, and once it feels damaged, it can be hard to rebuild. Ken seemed determined to stand his ground. He wants to be understood. He wants people to see his side. And he believes that what he is doing makes sense. But at the same time, there is a question of whether he is fully seeing the bigger picture. Marsau's tone stayed calm, but his message was strong. He kept pointing back to the same idea. Relationships need effort. They need presence. They need honesty. And they need both people to be on the same page. One of the biggest questions that came out of this conversation is simple, but powerful. Does space help or hurt a relationship? Some people believe that time apart can make things clearer. Others believe that it creates more distance and confusion. The answer is not the same for everyone. It depends on the people involved. It depends on how they communicate. It depends on how strong their connection is. But in this case, it feels like the space is not bringing clarity. It feels like it is raising more questions. There is also the pressure of being in the public eye. When your relationship is part of a show, everything feels bigger. Every decision is watched. Every action is judged. That pressure can make situations more stressful than they already are. Ken and Tresh are not just dealing with each other. They are also dealing with how their relationship looks to others. And that can influence decisions, even if they do not realize it. Marsau's final question carried a lot of weight. He asked, "Are you sure about this?" It sounds simple, but it means a lot. It is not just about the apartment or the space, it's about the direction of the relationship. That question forces reflection. It makes someone stop and think. It makes them look at their choices and ask if they are truly leading to something better, or if they are slowly creating more distance. Ken did not fully answer that question in a clear way. He stayed confident in his approach, but sometimes confidence does not mean clarity. Sometimes it just means someone is trying to stay strong in their decision. As the conversation ended, there was no clear resolution. Nothing was fully solved, but a lot was revealed. The tension is real, the uncertainty is real, and the future of this relationship feels open and unclear. Viewers are left watching closely, trying to understand what will happen next. Will the space help Ken and Tresh figure things out, or will it push them further apart? This moment feels like a turning point. It may not seem big at first, but conversations like this often lead to bigger changes. The small decisions made now can shape what happens later. Marsau's role in this situation shows how friends can influence relationships. Sometimes they offer support, sometimes they ask hard questions, and sometimes those questions are exactly what is needed. At the end of the day, the situation comes down to choice. Ken has chosen his path for now. He believes in it, but whether that path leads to clarity or confusion is something only time will show. The relationship between Ken and Tresh is now at a point where every decision matters. Communication, trust, and understanding will decide what happens next. And until those things are clear, the question will remain in everyone's mind. Are you sure about this?